Hello everyone, welcome. Dragonfly here back in the DCS World mission editor for another mission build. And right now what I have here on the screen is a mission that we've previously built. It's a seed mission at Senaki, and I'll leave the links to the videos that uh, where we built this mission. Because today what I want to do is add another mission onto this, basically to demonstrate the flexibility of the Harrier to be able to land after a mission and be quickly retasked for a follow-on mission. So let's just briefly recap the situation of this seed mission, and then I'll go into what I want to do today on our build. So let's go into the mission briefing. And the situation: Red forces have acquired electronic components to modify an SA-2 site at Senaki for stealth detection. This site will severely threaten our intelligence gathering operations and therefore must be eliminated. The SA-2 site is protected from low altitude attack by 3 SA-8 Geckos and 2 Shoka AAA vehicles. Contact Warhorse on channel 271 prior to takeoff for any last minute mission date updates. So basically our targets for this first mission were the SA-2 search radar, the fan song, or pardon me, the flat face, and the SA-2 tracking radar, which normally is called a fan song, but we redesignated it as Siren Song. Okay, so that was where we stand right now. So as I said, what I want to do is, if we successfully complete this mission on our way back to the FARP to land, I want our command element, Warhorse, to contact us and tell us to contact them on the ground for retasking. Once we've landed on the ground, we'll contact Warhorse and they'll tell us about an emerging strike mission on a warehouse up at Senaki that contains electronic components that the Red forces have been using to modify their missiles. Okay, so in my last video I described how I use scenery, the DCS World scenery, as to be assigned as a target. I'm going to go over that again here real quickly. Let me first go into the trigger zone list and unhide that. Okay, so what we did last time was use the assign as function. I'm going to do it on this building next to the one we already did, just to show you again how to do it. It's basically, you just right click with your mouse button. It comes up with a label that says assign as. Left click on that, and what that does is brings up a modified trigger zone menu that basically assigns that DCS scenery building as a trigger zone that you can use in your triggers. And you can rename it anything you want. In our example, we named it Building 1. Okay. So I'm going to come out of that, and I'll just go ahead and delete that trigger zone and go back into the triggers and show you the trigger that we did on the Building 1 trigger zone. So the label, I just said Building 1 destroyed. The condition that you want to use is map object is dead. Okay, so you come down here to map object is dead. Boom, it'll come up with the list of your trigger zones, and the one that we had, that building, we just named it Building 1. So Building 1, when that is dead, we're going to set a flag on, and then when I like to use is 550, and I'm just going to put a text message out there that says target building destroyed. Okay, so that's all there was to that trigger. So let's back out here and start into the logic flow of this mission. Let me go back into the or actually come down here to our FARP. This is our FARP, FARP London. And what I want to do is put a trigger zone around the London FARP. And when we are returning back through that trigger zone, it will have Warhorse contact us and tell us to contact them on the ground. All right. So first thing we'll do is build a trigger zone. And it doesn't have to be real accurate where I put it down. Create trigger zone, left click, and we'll just put it here. And I'm going to make it pretty big. I'm going to make it almost 40,000 feet, which is what, 6.5 miles or so. And I'm going to call it just London FARP zone. Okay. And I'll just make it yellow. Doesn't really matter because I'm going to hide it anyway. Okay, but let me show it to you first before I hide it. Okay, so it's a pretty big zone. So after we've done our strike, we'll come back in, we'll penetrate this trigger zone, and then something will happen. So let's go ahead and build that trigger. So the trigger, I'm just going to call it next mission message. Okay. And there's actually going to have to be two conditions. The first one is all group in zone. And the group I want in the zone is us. So let's find us. London FARP Harrier. The zone, London FARP zone. Okay. So that's one of the conditions. The other condition is we need to have completed the first part of the mission. If you don't put that in there, just as soon as you start the mission, this trigger will activate. So our second condition is flag is true, 501. Now, the reason I picked 501 is that's the mission successful flag that we've already used for when the fan song and flat face radars have been destroyed, then the first part of the mission is successful. So flag is true 501. I'm actually going to put that one above that one. And all of our group, which is basically just us, is in this zone. Then we're going to get a message. Message to coalition, to the blue coalition. And it's just going to say contact Warhorse on channel 282. I'm going to use COM1. You can use both COM1 and COM2 if you put both the triggers in there. On channel 2, COM2 after landing for retasking. Okay. And I'm also going to put a sound cue just because I like doing that. So we'll come down here to sound to coalition, to the blue coalition, open, and I'm going to put my standard Dragonfly Warhorse how copy sound file.
Dragonfly Warhorse how copy.
Okay, so that's in there. And I'll actually put it above. Okay. Now you can change your delays and all that if you want, but I'm not going to do that for right now. So that's all we want to happen on that first trigger once we're headed back to the FARP. Okay, let's make these triggers. Let's make them light green. To show the triggers that we're using for this mission. Okay. So once we've landed, we need to contact Warhorse, and that'll start the second half of the mission. So I'll just call it Strike Mission Start. And again, I'll make it green. Okay, so the parameter that we want to use for a condition is we want to contact them on 282, so that would be, what's it called? Cockpit parameter. Cockpit parameter equal to, and the parameter will be C underscore freak. And the value will be 282 is what we said for the channel. Okay. So what that will do is Warhorse will give us a message tasking us for the next sortie. Now let's use message to coalition, blue. And I've already typed this in and saved it just so I wouldn't have to retype it. So let's go ahead and put that in. It's a pretty long message. But basically what it's going to say is an immediate strike on a hardened warehouse at Senaki Air Base is necessary. Red Force supply trucks were spotted loading suspected Siren Song components, which I need to put those in, by the way. And it lists the target coordinates. I'll show you how we get those. It also says that 2,000-pounders, 2 Mark 83s, are the minimum required to destroy the target, because that is what it takes to destroy those buildings. They're pretty beefy. Weasel Flight, 2 Turkish F-16s are available for SEAD if required. Contact them on COM1 channel 283. So we'll put that trigger in also. We'll make this about 40 seconds because it's important that you be able to copy those coordinates down to put them into your navigation system. Okay. Now I'm going to back out of this trigger just for a minute and come up here to Senaki, to our target building, because I do want to put a couple of a group of 2 supply trucks in there. So I'm going to come down here to the ground units, and it'll be red. We'll use Russia. Let's see. They will be unarmed. And the type will be a truck. Let's see, 3308. So let's put one down. And we'll have 2 of them. So I'll come over here and put 2. And let's see, which way do we want them to head? Probably be facing that way. Kind of like they're loading up. Oops, forgot to hit my edit, delete. Do that one more time. Okay, so there are my 2 supply trucks, and let's just call them that, supply truck, red supply trucks. Now just supply trucks, we'll call it. and those will be late activation because we're going to activate them when we start the mission. The reason I do that is if you don't and you activate the Turkish F-16s in the first part of the mission, they'll actually come and destroy those trucks too early. Okay, now you want to make sure that your coordinate system is on precise Latin long. That you can set up under the global parameters at the in your mission. I don't think you can do it on the map options here. Okay, so before you come into the mission editor, you'll need to do that. If you haven't, if anybody needs to know how to do that, let me know. Okay, so if you've got the precise Latin long, basically all you got to do is copy down. You put your cursor over this building and then just copy down those coordinates, and that'll give you the precise coordinates that you can use to put into your nav system. Okay, you can see how the coordinates move around when we move the cursor. Okay, back out. Come over to our triggers. So when we go to 282 on our frequency, they sent that message. And we also want to make sure that we group activate those supply trucks. Group activate supply trucks. And now I'm also going to put in my sound cue. Sound to coalition, blue, and let's see. We'll use the same one, Dragonfly Warhorse, I'll copy. Move that up. Okay. So let's see here. I'll look at my notes real quick. And that should be all we need for that one. Now, in the mission message, it did say that we would be, well, actually it's this one, that we were going to put in some more Turkish F-16s in case we need them. So that'll be real easy to do since we've already put one group in. We can just click on them, hit and copy. So hit Control C. Now hit Control V, and we have an exact copy of the other Turkish F-16's flight. But we don't want them to be called Domino Flight. We want them to be called, we're going to call them Weasel Flight. Weasel Flight 1 and Weasel Flight 2. Okay. And I'll just change the call sign to Weasel also. And let's see, we might want to change that should probably work for a route of flight. And I just want to check to make sure that they do have weapons. And they do. Alrighty. And the reason I'm putting these in another flight in is just in case we didn't knock out all the SA-8s or all the anti-aircraft and you want a little help on the strike mission to get rid of those. You can call this second group in also. Okay, so let's go back to, Actually, let's go back to the map one more time. One thing I didn't check is to make sure these were late activation, and they are. Now we'll come in. So how are we going to activate those? We'll just call it activate weasel flight. We said we'd do it with a radio command, so we're going to use the same cockpit parameter equal to that we used before. COMM 1. And the value for that one, we said would be 283. So when we set the radio to 283, it's going to group activate weasel flight. That's going to, we'll have them send a message to. Message to coalition, blue, just say Roger, weasel flight pushing for 20 seconds. And I'll also do a sound cue. Sound to coalition, blue, and this little one, we'll just use this incoming message. Incoming message. Alrighty. We'll move that up. I'll move that up. I said we'd make them green. Okay, I want to move that one down like that. Okay. Now, those are the 4 triggers that we need to make this strike mission. I'm also going to come over here to the mission goals, define mission goals. And right now we've got, if we destroy the search radar and the tracking radar, that it's 100% mission effective. Let's just make it 50. So you got to do both parts of this mission to get 100%. Okay. So now let's do a new trigger, which says warehouse dead. It's just the label we use. On the condition for the warehouse being dead is flag is true, 550. And the score, 50. Okay. So the reason I use 550, just that's what we used as the flag that comes on if you destroy building 1. Okay. And we can hide that trigger zone. Save this out. And that's it. That's our full mission. So we'll be flying that, and I'll show you. I'll fly the whole thing, even though we've flown the first part, which it'll basically be a repeat, except I won't be talking as much about the EWR. And so hopefully you'll join me for that, for the mission fly through. And I appreciate your all's time. I hope you found something in here that was useful for you. And, you know, enjoy the DCS World Mission Editor. Dragonfly out.